Hello everybody, welcome to another Arkham Horror New Player Deck Guide. Today we're going to be talking about Preston Fairmont, the millionaire. And like all millionaires, they provide nothing without their money. If this is your first time seeing one of these deck guides, we are building a deck with 2 copies of the core set, as well as everything from the Circle Undone cycle, which is the cycle in which Preston Fairmont was printed. If you only have 1 copy of the core set, we recommend picking up 2. Picking up 2 or proxying the cards you don't have, because it will just make you win more, and that's good. Last but not least, you might have heard of something called the Taboo List. If you're a new player starting out, we highly recommend playing your first few games without the Taboo List, and instead living with some of the power as these cards are printed with. And oh boy, we got some strong ones in this deck that fall on the Taboo List. So just play them as is, live that life. Last but not least, we have some people asking when we're going to get to the Innsmouth Conspiracy Investigators. We will get to them when the cycle is finished. This is going to be coming out like November 14th. So the cycle is still being released as all that is happening. So we will get to them, we promise, just when all of the player cards are revealed and we have their full card pool to build with. Bryn, why don't you talk a bit about Preston Fairmont?
All right. So the first thing you're probably noticing is that this guy's got all ones.
That's
how are you supposed to play the game? Well, we get to start the game with this family inheritance permanent in play, which says that at the beginning of every turn we add 4 resources to it, and then we can spend resources on it as though they were in our pool. So we're going to be trying to buy our way past all of the tests that the game might ask us to make. Which our cards will reflect.
Mm-hmm. I like how the lead-in was going, because for a second I thought like you were going to say, so how do we do things when we have 1 in all of our stats? Well, we don't.
Yeah, we hope that our teammates do it for us and that we can pay them for it.
Yeah, so also anytime you gain 1 or more resources from a card effect, you place them on family inheritance instead of your resource pool, and you can transfer the money from your family inheritance to your resource pool.
Yes,
because that will
the family inheritance empties.
That will matter for these lodge debts, which eventually the lodge will come for your money, and you need to pay. How do you get rid of it? Oh, it's in your hand. You have to pay 10. You just have to pay 10. Yeah. There we go. Which sounds easy.
It's not too bad.
It sounds easier than it is, because in your mind you're like, I make 4 money a turn, so I can get there in 2.5 turns, but. You
also get the 1 money during the upkeep phase as well.
Yeah, but the money you don't spend on your family inheritance does go away at the end of your turn if you don't move it to your character.
Yeah.
So it's just something to be aware of.
Yeah. Plus, you also need the money in order to play the game.
Yeah.
Because your stats are all 1. Just to reiterate. So you want to try to play your lodge debts as late into the scenario as you can, but you don't want to end the scenario with it in your hand.
Yes, yeah. Like Kelvin Wright and most other Bryn characters, these guys are harder to play with just a limited card pool, but we're still going to give you the best Preston Fairmont deck we can from this.
Yeah. Fortunately, a lot of the good cards for him were also printed in his cycle hit. Yeah, go figure.
Yeah, it's like they knew. They were like, we got to do something about this character we designed. So let's get into the core set cards first. So there's just a lot of things that just hit here.
Yeah, so we got the Rabbit's Foot, because are we really ever going to pass tests with ones?
Yeah. Sometimes.
We're going to be drawing an extra card every turn.
Yeah.
We got Leo DeLuca because extra actions are good. And, he costs 6, but whatever, right?
Yeah. Daddy will pay for him.
Yeah, Daddy will buy him. Daddy will pay him to watch you run around and fail to do things. And you get that extra action helps offset a lot of the time you're spending an action to move the leftover money from your family inheritance to your character card.
Yeah.
And this helps to offset that.
Mm-hmm.
As well as just 4 action turns, right?
Yeah. Dig deep. Sorry, Grips?
Fail an extra test every turn.
Yeah. Dig Deep is kind of a resource sink for the money you're going to be having. If you're not spending on other things, you can bump up for the cost of 2 resources. You can turn your foot into 3, or your brain into 3. Steal of a deal. We got elusive.
You can run away good.
Yeah. Speaking of running away good, elusive is like top tier. Get out of a situation with Preston. Like, you just pay 2 money, which you're going to have, to disengage from every enemy engaged with you and move to any revealed location, like with no enemies. But that's powerful, and that's very good.
You really don't want to be places where enemies are anyway. You're kind of not great at that.
Like, your mindset when you're playing Preston is, can I do this without making a test? And if you can answer yes a good chunk of the time, you're doing well. Emergency cash gives you money, notably on your family inheritance. It's not going to go on Preston. So, if you want that
emergency
money,
cash does require a second action.
Yeah, unless you're planning on spending it immediately.
Yeah. Like maybe on the lodge debts, or to play a Leo, or with a Dig Deep.
Sneak attack is another way to do testless damage to an exhausted enemy. That's nice. Of note, we normally will talk about guts here, but
making your value 3, like,
whoop-de-doo. Preston doesn't play skills, at least in this build. Like, no thank you. Just don't even need to think about it. Travis, why don't you talk about Drawing Thin and why this card is good?
Drawing Thin is good because you can. Drawing Thin is especially good in Preston, or whether it's good in other decks or not. But it's good in Preston because making a skill test too harder is irrelevant when you are going to fail anyway. And then you just get 2 money or a card, or this doesn't take up any slots, so you could have both of them play. You get 2 money and a card, or if you have a Rabbit's Foot, you could get 2 money and 2 cards, or 4 money and a card. And that's like a pretty good deal for one action if you've been playing the game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It says when you initiate a skill test, and I believe that means that you have to be the one choosing to do it. You can't, like, have the game ask you to make a brain test on a treachery card and be like, well, I'm going to fail anyway, I'll just make it harder.
Yeah.
It has to be like an action that you're doing, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I'll check that out quickly.
Even if you can use it on treachery cards, that's kind of not a great time.
Yeah, but
a lot of them care about how much you fail by, and this could just make you die much harder.
Yeah, but burn free your resources, bud.
Yeah, but taking 5 damage is a lot.
7. But yeah, just even if you're throwing away 1 action in turn to get, it's like you can spend if you need resources, you can spend it, or cards, you can spend your action like getting a resource or drawing a card, or assuming you've got 2 copies of Drawing Thing in play, you could spend action getting more than that. So why wouldn't you? You just dump it into an investigate action or something you can't possibly pass. It's easy. Next up, we have investments. This is a way for Preston to get money. You play it, and then every turn you put a money on it, and then you take all the money off of it. Easy. It's exactly how you would expect investments to work.
It also caps at 10. But 10 is also like the most we could ever spend on anything.
Yes.
If you're spending more than 10 on something, you should really question what it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't find anything saying no for that, so I think it still works on treachery cards. Someone on our YouTube will probably know, so if there's someone maybe commented down below about if that works that way. It hasn't seen a lot of play in our table because I play Dark Horse a lot in red, and it's also experienced now. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm sorry for interrupt. You guys can keep talking about whatever cards you were. I should get.
We're on Well Connected now.
All right.
Yeah, Well Connected is like an asset that you put into play, limit 1 per investigator, doesn't take up any slots, and it just makes you good at doing tests.
Yeah, you get +1 skill value for each 5 money you have. So Like it's
Once you have
probably
like
going to be
15
2
money,
or
you have a
3.
real stat score.
Yeah, right.
One time.
One
No
time.
deal.
Of note, your family inheritance is not resources you have, correct?
Yeah, they don't count as resources on your player cards, so
Yeah.
they aren't resources you've got.
Yeah, so your well-connected will not count those family inheritance resources.
But
Yeah,
you
but
should be
even,
making a point to try and take money off that like every turn anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't do anything without money. So, like largely what you're going to end up using well connected for is to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Because the game will be like, test a skill. It doesn't actually matter which one, but like 3, and then take damage for each point you fail by, and you're like, well,
Daddy,
I'm
help!
gonna fail by as much as I can. But if you have well connected, you've
It's a
got a
little
shot
less.
at only failing by like 1 or 2.
Yeah. Decoy is kind of a cycle of cards that have an effect where you play it for 2 resources, you get the base effect, and you can increase its cost by 2 up to 2 more times. And then it triggers additional effects for every 2 resources you pay. They're very fun cards and they're very versatile cards, and I really like the design of them. I think they're just the right power level. I think they're really fun, and you'll get a lot of value out of them with Preston, especially because you're making 5 money a
Because you
turn.
don't have to test anything.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah.
Most commonly, you'll find yourself paying 4 for these, and like that's the perfect amount with your daddy's money.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Intel Report is the other version for that. It's getting clues. I'm going to also just jump ahead to Small Favor, which is dealing damage. So Decoy is the evade, Intel Report is the clues, Small Favor is the damage.
Yeah. Worth noting, Small Favor provokes attacks of opportunity. So ideally, you do not want to be using it on an enemy that is currently engaged with you.
Yeah, that's not great.
Or like actually, any enemies are currently engaged with you. Mm-hmm. Go pay some big muscly blue character to deal with that.
Money talks, Bryn. Is that true?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, like, so for 0, you get to change one test that the game wants you to make into a money test, where
That's
your skill
great.
value is equal to half the number of resources you have.
So
Like
if you have
round it
10
down.
money,
It's like, yeah, you get to test as though you had 5. If you have 30 money, you're laughing.
oh, big money, Preston. You're
you
always such
just,
a weird guy.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're gonna draw the red token, but
Yeah,
for one glorious moment.
yeah. You'll be like, I'm testing at 15. Trial by Fire. It's 3 cost, which once again, money isn't really a problem with stuff like this for Preston. And it treats one of your skills as 5. So the base value of that skill to 5. So
Yeah, you just get to kind of not suck for a little bit.
yeah, just at the cost of 3 resources, which once again is very easy to do with Daddy's money. Then we got Cunning, which is the only skill in the deck because it cares about resources. So if you have
It cares
5 or
about
more
how much
resources,
money you have.
yeah, it gives you, it's a perception or a manual dexterity. And if you have 10 or more resources, it's instead a super perception or a super manual dexterity.
Yeah.
Not much else
Yeah,
to
you
say.
could test one of those things at 4 and like maybe do it. You know?
All right, let's hop on over to the experience cards. So there's not many for Preston, but
No.
they cost a lot of money. So like, they cost a lot of experience. So these are the ones that you can get. Hot Streak is 10 resources.
Yeah,
Otherwise
3
known
money
as
into 10 money. Wow.
otherwise known as the Lodge Debts.
Yeah.
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 Just gamble away, but
I do, as a side note here, I do love how Preston is not allowed to play illicit cards in his deck, but he can play criminals because it doesn't matter what they get up to on their own time.
Yeah, he's hiring them just for lawn work.
Yeah, he's like hiring Leo to drive him around or whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of Leo, you can get the experience version. He costs 1 less. This is like a nice thing to do near the end when you're like, what should I grab? Leo's fine to grab there. Sure Gamble is good for Preston.
Yeah, it's just another way that you could possibly buy yourself past the test.
Yeah.
It changes the negative modifier of a token you draw to a positive one.
Yep.
So even with your 1 skill value, you might be able to pass a test.
Yeah, you'll need to draw something big, like a
Yeah.
-4, to even like get out of bed, but
Yeah.
it can happen. It's
It's
kind of
also
like
very good. It's very good for protecting yourself from the game.
yeah. All right, from his cycle, we got 3 exciting cards here. Another Day, Another Dollar is you begin the game with 2 additional resources. It's permanent, so it's always in play. And if you want more money, Preston, you can get more money. Not much else to say, is there?
Yeah, not really.
No, it's like the filler one. Once you have all your cards that you actually want, then
Yeah.
you just put your 6 experience into extra money.
And then we got Fortune or Fate. This one's actually pretty sweet and is like probably a good time with Preston because he always has the money to play it.
Yep.
It's honestly, it seems really good in him. Just
Yeah, you
stop.
basically
Two
just-
cost ward of protection, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we got Double Double. So this costs 8 experience.
Wow.
But after you play an event, you may exhaust Double Double to play that event again as if it was in your hand. So
Yeah, you can get 4 clues with Intel Report or deal 4 damage with Small Favor.
yeah, that's
You could evade like almost every enemy in play with Decoy if you really wanted to.
yeah, and just even like 4 damage from 1 sneak attack, like
Yeah.
that's great, right?
Yeah, make your emergency cash worth 6.
Yeah, that's all
If-
good
if-
stuff.
You've paid for if you've paid to put a hot streak in your deck, your hot streak could be worth 20,
What?
which is like kind of a big number.
I think I've done that with my Safina, and it feels powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is Preston. Preston is really strange. I recommend if you're interested in playing Preston and you're a new player and you have access to Dunwich Legacy and some more cards, look at the Poor Preston, which is you can't use illicit weapons, but a fire axe ain't illicit, and you can still go around chopping up people. That's the only one I played, but in his cycle, you're pretty much kind of like forced down the set build of Rich Preston, which is not a bad thing because everything is in his cycle, so you can still play a competent Preston. But he's a very tough character to play, especially for new players. But he is one of the best characters to joke about while you play.
Yeah.
Like I do distinctly being a little bit salty the first time I played the Circle Undone. That like I was playing Joe Diamond and it felt like I was the only one who was doing anything.
Who did I play?
For the
Rita?
first like 2 scenarios, it felt like I was carrying the entire team. We were like, gotta get clues. Oh, Joe, I can't do anything. Can you get the clues? Or, oh, there's an enemy here. I can't fight him. Can you kill him for me? It's like,
Oh
okay.
man. Yeah, no, that was a wild ride.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, a brain test. Can you guys help me with this? And you were like, no.
Yeah.
Do you have enough money that I can make it a money test? Like, I have like none. No. Oh, that's tough.
Well,
Sucks.
so that's what Joel gets for going on
Yeah.
hiring a millionaire and a high school student to go into the woods.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that
like
was-
picked up later once you guys got some experience,
Oh,
but
man.
like that first little bit was tough.
Yeah.
That was a
Uh,
lot of fun. You did the Realm of Torment as Preston, and you're just like, I'm never leaving.
Yeah. But that's Preston Fairmont. We'll be back next week with an exciting new investigator to talk about. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.